Hi, Marcus.
What up, Johnny?
Oh man, great to see you.
Yeah, thanks. Getting excited for winter here.
Welcome to Snowtober. Yeah, I know. Uh, I'm starting to feel it a little bit. I think I'm finally turned the corner from summer. I'm starting to. It's just like a weird feeling you start to get, right? It's just sort of happens one day. Is that how it is for you?
Totally. Well, and this year, I normally go down to Chile, and this year that wasn't a possibility. So I've been off snow for a long time, and yeah, getting excited. So fall's in the air, and I've been off of skis longer than I usually have at this point in the year. So I'm super excited.
Yeah, I saw the last time I talked to you, you were up at Hood, and you were doing your party beach ski camps. Is that correct?
Yeah, Party Beach. Yeah, so we were up there. It was great. We had a lot of kids. I was skeptical how it would all work out, but we went to a day camp model, and we had a lot of kids, and there were a lot of kids skiing up the timberline, and everybody wore their masks, and it went awesome.
Yeah, so you did get some skiing, obviously up in Hood, and do you is that a camp you started with Connery, or how did that whole and how did the title come about? I know you guys have a mascot of a inflatable palm tree. So
Yeah.
what's the story on that?
Yeah, we got the only above tree line skiing at the only above tree line tree skiing at Timberline. So we
I,
yeah.
what does that mean? The only above tree line? I don't even know. What was that about?
We got the inflatable palm trees up on the glacier, and
got it.
Jump around it and whatever. So no, it's fun. So I coached ski racing up there for a long time, and then eventually, we had a group of kids, and all the parents were like, "You guys should just start your own thing." And so we started off, as a ski racing camp, and then we slowly progressed into a free ride camp, and that's all we do now. So I started it with my friend Lindsay Strange, who is a Romark coach, and then we brought Connery on board because he's the awesome jump guy, and I'm not really the jump guy. So
yeah. Yeah, I noticed you say you're not a jump guy, but I noticed that on your Instagram, let me just share this really quickly with you, that you were working on your 360 mute grabs right there, my friend.
Yeah.
And actually, it's looking pretty good. Is that a trick you perfected up there? How long have you been doing the 360 mute grab for, Marcus?
So it's not perfected by any means, but so I grew up with my local sports store here, and there was a huge, like, wall size poster of you doing the 360 mute at Nagano. It was like shot from the top with the huge crowd in the back, and it was just like so heroic looking, and that's like always been such a cool trick to me. So that's kind of like, 360 is kind of all I got. 360 mute I don't really got, but
well, I gotta say it's pretty good for a racer. I mean, I pulled up a shot of me, and it, roughly the same. This is old, obviously, and and so I thought you're pretty close, man. I mean, you got to get a little more handle on the binding there, and then pull for the tweak, and then, of course, we got to work on your face a little bit, right?
I was just terrified.
Yeah. You got to a little bit of a shit look. When you get confident, you got to get the tongue out, look back at the cam.
See,
right?
That's those are huge steps, man. That's a lot of work. I'm pretty close. I'll take pretty close.
but I have to say though, you actually, you're an incredibly versatile skier, and although that might be my, it's not really my signature move, but people think of it as my signature move. I mean, I stole it from JP Auclair, obviously, but I brought it to infamy in the Olympics, brought it to the mainstream. But you have your own signature move, Marcus, and that's pretty good to distinguish yourself with a signature move being a racer. It's not a whole lot of places where people with racer DNA can establish a signature move just because of the tricks. And, Scott Schmidt is really only one that comes to mind there with his, starting to cross it up slightly off of cliffs. But you took it to the next level, and it's kind of a riff. And let's just check it out here on all those moves. And I've really been enjoying it, and I know the camera really enjoys it. And that's that move right there. I mean, that is a Marcus Caston signature move. And what distinguishes it from all the other skiers, obviously, Scott Schmidt used to cross his skis, and then there's the mute grabs, but this angle you get right here where you're actually getting, almost like a 90 degree in your midsection, and you're doing it. This is in a turn. I mean, you're bouncing. This is in an actual turn. This isn't like you're just jumping off of a cliff and dropping into a cross or jumping off a jump. This is your transition between a turn. So tell me a little bit about the development of this move. Did you think of it, or was it just something you naturally did? Tell us the story behind that.
Yeah, I guess my signature move is just not really a signature move. It's like a ski turn, like everybody else does, I think.
But it's I know you're being humble, but I don't believe that. It's because
I don't know. I think that just kind of came from I didn't think about it. Like, I just grew up watching the old movies, and they kind of hop turn, I guess, and I sit far back on my skis, and like in powder, if you sit far back and then you come like as a racer, you learn to always come forward through the turn, and so you come forward through the turn, you kind of dive into the snow, and then you come out kind of on your heels. And as you go into the next turn, your skis just cross. Like, you don't think about crossing your skis or hopping, really. You're just like always trying to fight to stay forward and come out in the back seat, and then that's just kind of a product of what happens, I think. And then as I started shooting more powder photos and whatever, I thought it looked cool. So then maybe I focused on it a little bit more, and then people always ask for it, like, do a Marcus turn. I'm like, all right. I mean, I know what they're talking about. It's not like a Marcus turn, though. But.
No, and I understand. I mean, and that's one of the things that, I think has separated you from other guys who have gotten into filming and into photos that came from, a high level race DNA that you have. Is and I didn't recognize this either when I started doing photos. I figured since I was a skier that I'll just transfer naturally to the photos. But being good on camera does require some. You can improve your camera skills, right? It is a workable skill, right? And I feel like you've done
It's a really odd skill to have. I think it's not really like great for anything except that one thing, it's, but yeah, like it's a weird thing because, usually when you're skiing, you're kind of in a rhythm, and, you make a couple good turns, couple bad turns, whatever, and you can like find a rhythm, get it back. But when you're shooting photos, it's just, you come in maybe straight, and maybe if you're lucky, you get one or two turns to like set up for it. But to be able to make a turn, the first turn is really hard. And then you start noticing like all this other different stuff that you're doing, like dropping your hand or do, or they just try to work it a little bit, and you start like, I don't know, do weird stuff with your wrists, and it's funny.
Yeah. No, and I think it's interesting for people to understand is that there is, because I love incredible ski images, right? They just they make you feel something. Warren Miller films make you feel something, and there's something subtle about just a great turn. And it looks easy, but it's not. And I know you're you're a function guy, but it is to create these different cool looking shots like this one right here. It takes some planning. It doesn't just come, obviously, even to get into that position. It's not just like you jumped up into that position. It's a product of the turn before that. And it's really cool. And I first noticed it when I skied with you for the first time, when you came out to Squaw Valley with your Return of the Turn show, your hit series on that's been on Instagram and YouTube and everywhere else. And it seems like a kind of a normal thing now, but that was not in vogue necessarily, right? Like, it was all about jumping off of cliffs and doing stuff. And you kind of said, hey, wait a minute, there's something beautiful in just the art of the turn, and there's something photographable about it. I can make stories about it. And I just remember when you came out to Squaw and you skied Chute 75, like in a way that I had never even imagined skiing it, all like horizontal and hitting, race turns off of bumps. And it was really cool to watch. Tell us a little bit about Return of the Turn and sort of how you, I don't know, conceptualized that and got it to market, if you will.
Yeah. Thanks. I appreciate that. Well, the Return of the Turn, just over the past few years, looking at magazines and ski movies, like, there just wasn't anything that really spoke to me and like the skiing that I do. And I consider myself a skier. Like, that's my life. That's how I identify myself. But there was nothing that like was really hitting home for me when I was watching these movies. And so, there's kind of a lot of reasons why. But, basically, like, they were just showcasing, a lot of these movies just showcase like people jumping off cliffs, doing tricks. And like, that's all really cool. But 99% of the time, like, even me as a professional skier I'm not skiing in Alaska or skiing pillows in Canada all the time. Like, I'm skiing the resort. I go home and I want to ski snowboard and go, rip some bumps and go ski groomers. And, I love that kind of skiing. And so it's like, why isn't that why isn't that out there as this thing that we like look at, the actual skiing that like people do on a daily basis, like, why is this not showcased? And so that's kind of where Return of the Turn came from. And I remember we came out to Squaw. It was our second episode that we filmed, the first one that we released, but we were interviewing you and you were like, oh yeah, you kept saying, oh yeah, it's like in Fistful of Moguls. Oh yeah, it's like Blake said, Fistful of Moguls, is it? We're like, okay, yeah, we're like kind of nodding. You're like, okay. Yeah, then we go home, we're like, okay, we got to go watch Fistful of Moguls now. Like, what is this? And we had no idea. And we watched it, we're like, oh no. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but like, they made this movie already and it's sick.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And so
that is interesting. Yeah, go ahead.
So I just watched Fistful of Moguls with my girlfriend Tasha the other day. I was trying to like explain to her, because I keep saying, oh yeah, it's like Blake said, Fistful of Moguls. And she's like, what?
Right.
No, you just gotta watch it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that's funny. What did you watch the open with her, or did you watch the whole thing, or
we just watched the first like 15 minutes, and then we gotta finish it. It was just a coffee video.
Well, it is true. I mean, I guess Blake, he is sort of, like you in a way where he really loves. I mean, he loves the art of skiing, right? He loves all aspects of skiing and appreciates them, and he has a deep knowledge of all ski disciplines. And so he had this angle. He loves moguls, obviously, and he was kind of doing kind of similar to what you do. Like, what about the turn? What about moguls, simple stuff that everyone likes to do instead of, all this, twin tips and all these things. And so, but, and then what you've done with Turn of the Turn though, is really, brought that to a more modern light, brought it to obviously social media. Whereas Fistful of Moguls, it was still in the video era, and I think they're very different actually. So I don't feel like you redid that thing, and obviously, so but yeah, that's I'm glad it's been so successful. Has it been hard to find new material? I mean, everyone now, Solomon, you got Mike Douglas ripping you off. Everybody's making some little short form video showing off the art of the arc or whatever they call it. So
I think that's
direct rip-offs actually. Like, I love that. Isn't one of them called The Art of the Arc or something like that or something?
No, I think that's cool. That's the whole point, right? Like, it's not just, I don't want to be the only one out there doing it. So I'm glad it's kind of caught on a little bit. And I'm glad that people enjoy it. So Plake, he was kind of where, he had done Blizzard of Oz, I guess. Like, he's probably a lot more famous than I am at this point, but he was a professional skier and saw all this go down, where I was kind of a kid watching these movies and then watched the whole change happen. And so, it's cool that he kind of stuck his neck out there for Fistful of Moguls, like, after having success as, an extreme skier. I think he says something like, it's time we, what does he say? We have world champions in our country that can't even get a pair of free skis, and he wants to, it was really cool that he was able to take his, fame and do something cool like that. And so, and I guess I kind of feel similar, as maybe you did as a mogul skier back then. Like, we're the best skiers on the mountain. Like, as a racer, it's like, we are awesome. We're the best skiers on the mountain. Like, we should be the ones in ski movies, not these guys, skiing soft snow. Well, they don't know anything. So
no, that's a great comparison. I didn't, that's the parallel. Like, Blake started off as a bum skier, and then he went out and, became a extreme skier. And then he came back and kind of acknowledged his roots as like, hey, this is where it's happening. And that's exactly kind of what you did for racing. Like, you were obviously high level racer, and then but you're right. A lot of the race guys don't get any, they're out there busting their ass, risking their lives and downhill. And then you've got a bunch of yahoos out there in all the ski films. And so you're out there kind of showing, hey, this is where this all comes from. This is our heritage. The racers are
totally. It's
on film too. You did the exact same thing. Yeah.
Right. It's just like what you grew up doing, I guess. Like, he grew up skiing bumps. He loves bumps. Like, I grew up skiing groomers and, and free skiing. Like I love doing that. Like, why, I make videos, so why wouldn't I make a video about that, But as far as coming up with new ideas, there's so many cool stories to be told, and I think we're at no shortage of ideas. So So we'll look for more. There's more coming out. You're still producing Return of the Turns. We got shut down this spring. We had two more planned, and then obviously that got shut down. So, but we'll continue to do it this winter and keep making more.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of ski movies, let's talk a little bit of Warren Miller. I think you've been in the last 5, 6, 7 Warren Miller films, great segments. And there's a new one coming up in the fall for everyone to get fired up on. The format of, I think it's like somewhere early November, it's going to come out. It's going to be digital, obviously. There'll be, I think, a handful of screenings, possibly in person around the country, but mostly it's going to be a digital format. I know that you guys did not get a chance to film. You basically were about to film and got shut down for COVID. So it's going to be a bit of a compilation of your greatest hits. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yeah, I think that's the case. Yeah, we were heading up to Canada to film, and like it was that day or the day after. It was like, I don't know if we're gonna get in, and if we get in, I don't know if we're gonna come back. So that got shut down. But yeah, I think it's cool. We sent them some return to the turn footage and some of our bump footage, and I think they're gonna repurpose it. And I think that's we were excited about it. Like, that'd be a cool project to kind of just take everything and make it different, send it off to somebody and get a totally different perspective of it, because when you're shooting it, you're so close to it and you have this idea of like what it's supposed to be or what it's going to be. And so to send it off to somebody and see what they can do with it, it'll be exciting.
To Warren Millerize it.
Yeah.
It'll be cool to see it on the big screen too. I think that'll be great. I'm looking forward to that. Speaking of looking forward to things, what about you personally? Like, if I'm watching this, I'm getting fired up for ski season. Just when I think about you, I know you're coming up with different ideas. Like, what are you thinking about? Like, what kind of stuff is interesting to you as far as places to go? I know you spend a lot of time in Engelberg Titlis. Is that how I say it? Somewhere in Switzerland.
Yeah, exactly.
How do you say it?
Engelberg Titlis. Yeah.
What a great name. And so I know you do a lot of shooting out there and spend a good portion of your winter, but what are you thinking about with regards to travel, going to Europe?
Yeah.
Are you planning anything right now? Like, what's going on?
It's hard to plan anything right now, especially overseas. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. They have professional visas. Like, there's some U.S. ski team people over there right now. So I guess that's a possibility. But in all honesty, like, if it doesn't happen, that's just fine. I live in Salt Lake, and the skiing's great around here. And we have tons of ideas. And we have, obviously, like, being in the West, there's tons of mountains around, within driving distance. So, we've had a lot of ideas over the years about stuff that we can do like at home or close to home. And this would be a great year to, actually get it done rather than just talk about it and then run off to Europe for 2 months.
Sure.
I'm excited about that. And the funny thing is, like, I grew up ski racing here. And so we, like, every day we were up in the mountains, but we were training. And as soon as I quit ski racing and started doing this professional big mountain skiing, I had the ability to travel. And so I really haven't done that much backcountry skiing around here, my own home and my own mountains, so, like, it'll be a good chance to stick around here and finally get to, like, ski some of the classic things that are right here. I've still never skied Mount Superior. It's right across, like, the iconic mountain right across from Snowtober. Still never skied it, among, like, a handful of other just classics. So yeah, it'll be cool. It's an opportunity.
Now people who are, I imagine, we're getting some guidance from the ski resorts as far as, how they're going to get on the lift and how we're going to, reservation systems, and Snowbird. I don't think Alterra hasn't released their guidelines yet, but Vail has. And my sense is, at least that's what's happening in Tahoe, is people are going to be looking to get in the backcountry, a lot. I think it was already headed that direction anyway. The interest was high. So I think it's going to advance that sort of popularity a few years. How do you recommend people get into it without, getting in over their head, getting killed? What should they go buy? What would be a good, like, what's the starter kit? How do you get started?
Well, I think that's totally right. I think backcountry skiing is going to be huge, and which is cool. You want to see a lot of people getting out, and it's super fun, and it's but it's a totally different thing. It's a different pace. You're going slow. The uphill is just as important as the downhill. Like, don't kid yourself. When I first got into touring, it was like, I want to go backcountry skiing so I can go ski this extreme stuff that I see in the movies. And I want to hike and see fresh powder and steep lines. And it's like, that's there, but that's not really what it's about. It's about like going out and you can ski something mellow and go ski some wiggles and have a great time, So I would just say, you don't ski the backcountry like you ski resort. First off, like, you got to start super slow. I kind of think about it like, when I came from racing, it was like my level of skiing is so much higher than my knowledge of backcountry skiing and snow. It's like easy to get yourself into trouble, where you wouldn't even think twice about skiing some slope in the resort. When you see it in the backcountry, it's like you don't even think about it. You're like, oh, this is no problem. But in reality, it's dangerous. And so to think about it like, okay, I have 1 year of backcountry experience. Like, I should be skiing things that maybe like a person with 1 year of ski experience might have. Like, start off super mellow. You can go places that aren't going to slide, that aren't going to avalanche, and have a great time.
So low angle. But how do people even know what like, how can you assess that it's low angle, or, that it's not is that just, you got to go to a class, or do you get a guide maybe?
Definitely take a know before you go class, and at least your Avi 1. And your Avi 1, or maybe it's called something else now. They just changed the name. Take your intro to avalanche safety class and know how to use a beacon, shovel probe, know how to dig a pit, and just like be out there and know what the snowpack's doing in your area. Talk to people. Reading the avalanche report every morning, even if you're not going skiing, is huge. Just like make that a habit to get up and have coffee and read the avalanche report, so you just always know what's going on. And you can you pick up a lot from just reading that. We have, especially here in Utah, we have an amazing avalanche center, and they're really knowledgeable, and they're out there every day digging pits. They know everything. So you kind of learn the language, you learn what they're talking about, and then when you get out and you see it and you kind of figure it out. But I'd say start slow and definitely go with people that know what they're doing, like old guys. Think like old man skiing, old grandpa skiing. Like, those guys have been out there forever. They've seen it all, they know it all, and they ski mellow stuff. You don't see a lot. There's good. Yeah, you don't need to go.
It's a good way to think of it. Just think, like you're a beginner. You're back to beginner when you're in the backcountry type of deal.
Totally. And as far as gear, like I said, when I first started touring, I was like, well, I want my heavy bindings, I want my heavy boots, I want to ski some hard stuff. But I mean, I ski like the lightest pin binding I can find that's all metal. So Solomon NTN is an awesome binding. That Dynafit Super Light is all metal, really light. Then they have a 12 DIN or something, whatever that means in touring, I don't know. Yeah. But it's plenty. Like, I ski those really hard, and they're like the lightest, most minimalist binding you can find. And people are always like, well, I want to go, ski the Kingpin or whatever. Like, not trying to like talk myself up, but I mean, I ski those things hard. And if I can ski them hard on hard snow, like, you can ski them. And
all right.
So like a super light tech binding, I ski a Technica Cochise boot, or a 0G boot. It's awesome for the uphill and the downhill, like a great all mountain or all around boot. I think that's kind of where you can cheat a little bit, as long as it's got a great walk mode and it's like light enough. Like, you want a boot that's supportive enough for the downhill. And then Blizzard 0G skis. Blizzard makes an awesome touring ski right now. So it's, got carbon. It's like super light and skis so well for how light it is. So it's awesome.
Okay. So the 0G boot, and then back on piste for a second here, because here I'll show you some of your, some of the. I know that's your original spot. Oh, this is me. This is me trying to do my best Marcus Caston, by the way. See, it's hard. I can't really get out to the side like that. Do you do any special workouts to be able to get this is you, to be able to get your feet out to the side like that? Or is that just something let me see. Let me see.
20
hold
of these.
Hold on. I got to stop the screen share. Yeah.
20 of these each day.
Okay. All right. I got it. Yeah, those are.
There you go.
I'm doing that in my arm, on my pull-up bar. My arm hangs. You gotta work that. No, I was gonna say though, coming back here, I love this shot. Actually, I know you're on the old school Blizzards, right there. Old school Blizzard. Oh, is it Blizzard or Blizzard? Blizzard. Finally, for everybody at home.
Blizzard like the storm.
Okay, good. All right. Well, so we'll get back to your covers here. I want to hear where those things happen, but this is you arcing them. For anybody who didn't know that comes from the Ted Ligety school of, I think they were competitors actually. And so he really lays them over. Now let's talk about some kind of the on-piste action. I know that Blizzard sells some of these Firebird skis, which is like a race DNA ski, but you seem to be arcing them on these what look like sort of all mountain skis. And one time when I was skiing with you, you said I really only ski like one ski predominantly. Which ski are you on? Can you arc them on all those skis? And which ski do you what's your daily driver if you're skiing in the resort?
Yeah, well, I mean, I do use a lot more skis than just the one. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I think I was probably, when we were skiing together, we were on the, I think I was on the Bonafide. Which is like was 98. This year it's 97 mil. Which is just like a perfect width, I think, for like all around skiing, especially here in the West. It's like great through crud, great on groomers, bumps, powder. So I'd say like if I don't know what I'm going to do and I'm going to ski, snowbird, and I don't have a plan or, as to what I'm like trying to ski, that's the ski I would grab. And, this year it's pretty cool. It's an all new, like the Bonafide has kind of been the benchmark of all mountain skis the last 10 years. And this year we took it and threw it away and gave it a new mold, new sizes, everything totally different, and new core. So it's awesome. Like we have this, it's called True Blend, where most cores are all just like solid, solid wood or whatever through the whole thing. This has different stringers, like the density of the wood changes as to like where it is under your foot. And so what it does essentially is just like, you don't always have to be on top of it. If you want to ski hard, like the dense wood is there, but you can back off and it's just skis nice and easy. And it makes it really versatile in all conditions. So like Blizzard is really focused on that aspect the last few years, is just making great skis that work in all conditions. So the Bonafide is like one of my favorites. I think in that photo that you were showing, that was in Buck Hill. I was skiing a Rustler 9. And so like...
Oh yeah, I was just asking about the Rustler. So what's the story with the Rustler series?
Yeah, so the Rustler is like more of a playful freeride type ski. It's a little bit softer than the Bull line, which is like Bonafide Brahma. But like I said, that's the ski I brought to Buck Hill to ski groomers on. It's like the freeride ski. It's like a little bit easier, but it still holds an edge and it's super fun. Like it skis kind of like a long slalom ski. So I love it. And whereas like,
so how do you decide? Because I think I know what you're saying is the Bull series, which is the Brahma and the Bonafide. They typically have like a mix of of metal and now obviously the true blend wood, and they tend to really want to like trench and stay in there, and you gotta make them go the other way.
Yeah.
But that's obviously, to the benefit of someone who's hard charging, going fast, and they want stability. But obviously I think they've become a little bit lighter, but they're not as playful, I guess. So then you get into the rustler, and that sort of is a little more like you might use that if you like to do a little hop turn or jump around or maybe do a 360. Like, how would you describe how to pick that and where you live and that type of stuff?
Totally. So like the rustler is more, you have a little bit more rocker, a little bit less metal. So it's just easier to throw sideways. They're just easier skis, more playful. Whereas, like you were saying, the Bonafide Brahma are more like you are laying trenches skiing, either on the groomer or like in a Bonafide, it's a little bit wider. Like in the West here, I ski Bonafide a lot. If it hasn't snowed, if it's not like a deep powder day, like I'll ski my Bonafides. The Brahma would be an awesome ski for like a hard charger out east that takes the occasional trip out west. And the Rustler 9 would just be a great ski for like cruising around in the woods in Vermont or whatever, skiing, kind of free ride, playful, like skiing tight trees, that kind of thing.
Sure. Yeah. Like I last year I was in Stowe. And they get pal. I've been really lucky every time. I guess I wasn't there last season because it got canceled, but the season before that. And you get it. They get POW there. I've been lucky almost every time. I've only been skunked there one time. But the trees are like really tight, and there's roots, and you need to be able to like throw your skis sideways and do all kinds of weird little pivot moves and stuff like that. So something like the Rustler is probably a good, a little bit easier to make that happen.
I went to Stowe for an Eastern Cup another lifetime ago. And my dad is from the East Coast, and he was telling me all about Stowe and how it's like great skiing. And I was excited, and I remember sitting in this, like in the race hut, I guess, with all the racers before the race, and somebody opened the door and came inside, and I could not believe how hard it was raining outside. I have never seen it rain so hard in my life, and we get these crazy desert thunderstorms here where it just pours for 30 seconds. You wouldn't believe it. And I've never in my life seen it rain that hard that I have it stuck.
So did you go out and do the race in the rain?
Oh yeah.
Was it raining?
Oh yeah. Race on.
Yeah. No, it's extreme. It's extreme out there. It's extreme skiing, and crazy different conditions and ice and in some ways skis are super critical out there. And you don't think of East Coast guys as wanting to have a quiver, but I think they do. I mean, I see a lot of quivers out there because they get a variety of conditions. So, and of course they all pride themselves on being able to ski hard ice. And so they got to have the race skis as well. So, what sort of are you looking at that's new in your quiver for this year? I mean, whether it's a big ski or not, I'm sure you have a pair of these Firebirds in there. Just like, how often do you go out and just shred a pair of slalom skis or something like that?
I haven't been on I do have some slalom skis, and I have Firebird skis, which are a little bit more my speed now. When I hop on a pair of like World Cup slalom skis, I'm a danger to myself and everyone else around me. Now it's insane, but I get out occasionally, and like when I coach at Hood, that's right. What I usually. It's fun. Like it keeps you on your game.
Oh, was that what you were on with the 360 mute grab? Were you on
slalom skis? Totally.
Got it. Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah, no, it's good. It keeps you on your game, you know, like you can't just be throwing them sideways on those things. So it keeps you honest. And so I'll get out occasionally, but
that's the fire. In case you're wondering, that's the Firebird he's talking about right there. I assume that's probably at Hood during Party Beach ski camps.
That's a snowbird. When we filmed a little Firebird Return to the Turn. So the California rep bought an actual Firebird car, and we brought it out here and made a little video with it. And
I put this shot in there because, you know, I want to talk about the skis, but I also, you know, love the humor you inject into the ski world. And I think it's an important part of it. Seems like you enjoy it. It makes people laugh and kind of brings the lightheartedness to skiing. And is that something you have always enjoyed, or is it something you kind of developed once you became a pro skier, or what's the story on that?
I don't know. I just like to have fun, I guess. You know, it's nothing like I really thought about. I work a lot with this. His name's Tim Jones. He's the filmmaker that we do Return to the Turns with, and he's just hilarious. Like, you know, he's constantly trying to come up with funny stuff that we can shoot, and like he's really the humor in Return to the Turn. But I don't know. I just like having fun, and I think skiing's kind of funny. Like, it's nothing to take too serious.
Yeah, exactly. No, I love all the you're pretty good comic, my friend. You're pretty good. You do good bits, good skits. And I just read an interview, in Powder Magazine that when you got your hair cut, it was news, and they wrote a whole article about your hair. And I loved it because it just showed how close you are, you know, to the people in the industry. And we could write a lighthearted article about you cutting 4 inches off your hair. And speaking of Powder Magazine, here's a beautiful cover. One of your many ski mag covers. I mean, I think, you know, every time I turn around, you're on a different one, nationally and internationally. Is this your first powder cover right here?
That is my second powder cover, or third if you count the Buyer's Guide. So
got it. I count it.
That was last year.
Incredible.
That was the first issue that came out, which is always pretty cool. You know, it's like the one you're waiting for all summer, and so it's sweet. Like,
and what's the story on that shot? I imagine I think I saw Oscar's signature on it. So you guys are in Europe somewhere. Yeah,
so we were in Engelberg, and it's in this little zone called Apres. It's like this little, I guess it's side country. You got to walk 2 hours, and it's just this gully that goes into this huge avalanche path, and then on the other side there's these huge rock walls. And so in the afternoon, as the sun comes down, the light bounces off the rock wall and onto the gully. So it doesn't get this direct light. It gets this like really soft kind of bounce light. And Oscar's an amazing ski photographer, and he's also colorblind. And so he really looks for like contrasts more than like colors or whatever. Like his whole thing is just like blues and whites and contrast, because that's what he sees. And so it's like it's such a good spot. It's like this steep, maybe, I don't know, 10 turns, you know, then you can kind of traverse back up and keep hitting it, go down. It's I mean, we were up there.
Did you guys know you had something when you kind of went back and looked at it, or was it just one of those things that you picked up the mag one day and were like, holy crap, I'm on the cover?
No, that's sweet when that happens. I dig that. And it more often than not, it's the other way, where you think you have something and it just doesn't go anywhere.
Right.
But that one we knew was sick, and we're like immediately psyched on it. And
what were you skiing on in that? What were you skiing on in that shot?
That was a 0G It could have been a 0G95 or a 0G105.
The ski.
Yeah, so I bring both of those usually on a trip.
Mm-hmm. And, right on.
Yeah, like in Europe, I ski a 0G105 in resort, like most of the time. That's how, kind of good they are on piste or like in the resort. That's what I ski on. So that's like a 0G105. Also, Oscar in Engelberg. So it's kind of like the great thing about Blizzard is they just ski well in everything. Even the touring ski, you can ski them hard.
Yeah. I pulled up your other cover here. This is a ski magazine cover. And you're just buried here, obviously a different style shot. What's the story on that one? Where were you? What was the setup?
So that was also Engelberg. And I think just out of view on the bottom left corner is where the restaurant is. So it's like, you take the lift up, you walk 5 minutes up this ridge, and you have a good 30 turns right down to the cat track, and then
cool.
lunch. So that's like a zone that we hit all the time, kind of mid-morning. Again, like it's this super cool light. This is not really direct, and there's all these little bumps and in the snow, and so. You kind of wait until the light is like almost touching it and you ski right through it. And so it's like this super where it's where you're not in the light, but your snow is, but you're kind of in the light, it's like that transitional shadow. That's so cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And it exudes a feeling, when you see that shot, you're like, oh, I want to be there. I want that feeling, when you're in good position and you're plowing through a nice big, like a belly full of snow, but you're going to bounce out of it. You're not stopped. It's not too flat. And it makes you want to go skiing. I think you've done that here today, Marcus. The whole idea of Snowtoberfest is to get fired up for skiing. It's that time of year, start thinking about where we're going to go, get the gear going. And you did that here. So thanks for taking some time to join us.
No, thank you. It's good to see you. Good to talk with you.
I want to ask one more question. Okay, Marcus, your favorite Apres ski song?
Ski song.
Apres ski song or song to ski to? Can you think of it? I'll give you a second. Whatever comes to mind. What's like a classic Apres ski song? I got you cornered now. I don't even give you time to think about it.
It's like a whole. I'm more of a hang out in the soft or the quiet, Sitzmark, like in the attic kind of opera skier. I'm not like the crazy kangaroo,
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah. Well, you're not alone. I think the most popular Apres ski music is, like when you're in Engelberg, like what's playing when you come down? Is it like
some awful disco version of Red Hot Chili Peppers?
Right. Got it. All right. So maybe I'm going to put you down for something like, hold on. I'll pull it up right here so you can hear it. I just got to get my phone to boot up. All right. Well, actually, let's just scratch it because we don't have a name for it. So, maybe it could be something like, we can bite this from the let me see here. Here it is.
How about just like a this is like more set?
I think it's more like this. That's what you're talking about when you come down off the Engelberg.
Yeah, you've heard it. Yes, that's it.
That's called a Swartza Natashka. That's the number one Apres ski song. All right.
Yeah, this is
all right, Marcus.
Yeah, this is the one where all the crazy Austrians and Germans get up and start dancing in the bar, and you don't know what happened. You're kind of like,
that's the one. That's the one.
That one.
I'm excited. Take me there. Take me there right now. Take me there. All right. Thanks, Marcus.
Well, thank you, Johnny.